Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Now, with this criminal case turning out the way it did and how ridiculous the outcome was, Diddy's legal team came out to address the media. And as my lawyer was correct, everything that was going on, it truly happened the way I said during the live stream when he told me that Diddy was going to get 5 years, pay a fine, and they were going to appeal at the Second Circuit Court. And I told that to the chat before they even announced the verdict. He knew where this judge was going to do before he did it. And we got some more things that we're going to discuss tomorrow. There's a lot going on. So out of fatigue, I'm stuck trying to process everything that's happening. But yes, out of fatigue, I'm just like, what's next? But let's listen to what they said, the actual lawyers in the case.
Diddy's attorneys speaking to the media after he was sentenced earlier today. This is live.
So yeah, we are planning to appeal.
I want to hear them, bro.
We are planning to appeal. We think we have strong bases to appeal. The strongest basis is that the jury reached a verdict on coercion. It found there was not coercion. And I think the judge said coercion today as a basis for a sentence at least a dozen times. We think that is unconstitutional. Yeah. We think that a jury verdict should mean more than our jury's verdict seems to mean. And so we are planning to appeal.
Absolutely. Files a cross appeal. What would happen in that regard if they filed a cross appeal and then Sean Diddy Combs get a higher sentence?
He would not get a higher sentence, and they're not gonna cross appeal. We're gonna appeal. We think we're right, and they'll respond to the appeal, and it'll be decided by the Second Circuit as soon as.
Tell us about the conversation you had with your client after the sentencing.
Consensual. The judge clearly thought the sexual encounters weren't consensual.
Because he's biased.
Make of his remarks.
He's biased.
I'm happy to go. So we think that's just absolutely inconsistent with the jury's verdict. I mean, the jury's verdict was resoundingly clear. There was no sex trafficking. There was no racketeering. Everything was consensual. Everything was adult, which is why he was convicted only of the prostitution offense. What we feel happened today was that the judge acted as a 13th juror, one that we did not choose, and that he second-guessed the jury's verdict.
Well, at least the judge was open-minded. At least the judge was open-minded for both sides. He gave consideration.
Did you have a chance to talk to Sean Combs? Did you have a chance to talk to your client? Can you tell us about the conversation after the sentence?
How is he?
How's your client?
How will it impact sex workers?
But he's okay.
Push back a little.
But he's okay.
Come on, man.
Stop pushing people, y'all.
Y'all making it a circus now, bro.
Space out. He does feel justice was served, though. He said he takes accountability, and I felt like Diddy definitely took accountability for everything, sir. And I would like to just let you know that everything was not consensual, sir. Please don't say that. It was not consensual. Even Diddy admitted.
This is the defense team, man. Let's ask him a question.
Yes, but he did allegedly.
All right, Queen. All right, Queen. All right.
Mark, can you talk to us about talking to Sean after this?
I'm not. Obviously, we spoke to Sean. I'm not going to talk about what Sean and we discussed. It's a privilege.
We all feel comfortable bringing.
And tell us what location are you going to recommend?
No matter which community it impacts.
What are the next steps?
Why weren't the sex workers on trial today?
Hold
on, bro. Where were the escorts? Stop, bro.
Thank you, guys. Here's the question I heard: what's next?
Why weren't the escorts that
we're going to try and find the right facility for Mr. Combs. We're going to ask the judge to recommend that. We are very serious about pursuing an appeal. So we have a number of things all going on at the same time. I think that's all for me.
And you got about 14 days to start doing that?
If my colleagues
14
want
days?
to continue to ask questions.
Put that in motion.
Thank you, sir.
Now, as these people who are not media, just the public, and that's one of the horrible things about it. You can't even get to the real questions because people want to be a star themselves and insert themselves into something they don't even understand, saying that it's not consensual. Everything wasn't consensual. And I'm like, stop saying that. I'm like, they have, the jury found him not guilty on 3 of the major charges, just the Mann Act. So it's been egregious to deal with something like this. It's unprecedented that some judge just oversees or supersedes the jury and what they've made and just basically makes his own decision in a sentencing. He's basically making it and turning it into a bench trial, saying that there was coercion, that he did force this on them. And he goes to add the assaults, everything that he was acquitted of, but then saying this has nothing to do with what you were acquitted of. But yet he goes ahead and starts mentioning coercion. And I'm like, I read the transcripts live. He said coercion. You coerce these women. I was like, what? Like, how would someone believe such nonsense? It's like, it still baffles to me. I'm just sitting here like, it's been like a little bit over like about 30 some hours, and I'm still baffled with how that this was allowed. And the Southern District of New York is supposed to be the elite of the elite. Like man, I hope I get to work for the Southern District. If you're out there trying to pursue law and all of this, they just put a black eye or a flashlight on what is the problem with the Southern District of New York. So it was quite understandable for somebody such as myself to see that happen, because now we get to understand the plight of what was going on and like what was the mental psyche like dealing with like the entire process. It's completely corrupt. In my own personal opinion, I don't think Judge Sobraneman should have been assigned when they already had a judge, and it got reassigned to him deliberately. I think he was the ringer. They brought him in to do exactly what they needed to have done, to pretend to be open-minded when really he was a one-track mind the entire time. When there was grounds for a mistrial, he definitely blew that, ignored all of the facts of the mistrial, said, I hear you, and no, I don't think that's grounds for a mistrial. It was about 2-3 times in a row that an egregious act happened, and other lawyers are saying, yeah, I'm surprised. That's definitely should be cited by the prosecution. Like they should have caught that. Then they doubled down on their lie to make it worse. So it's like they obviously were in violation, putting that woman on the stand. They know she's dishonest now and she's lying. And the photos don't even make sense because they're dated. So you can't say, oh, well, if it didn't happen on this date, it happened on that date. You can't do that because it's already here dated. And he was in New York at that time. So he definitely didn't put these marks on this woman. So, and you're sitting here trying to say he did it, which makes no sense. It clearly was ridiculous that all of these claims was heard and people were supposed to take this seriously. This is a prosecution that had the lousiest performance from any other lawyers. When this case was over, they had sat down lawyers came in from different states, different then they all gave their opinion on, I just can't believe they kept prosecuting this, knowing this was a weak case. They just kept adding things to it to kept fluffing it up. But when you peel back the layers, it was nothing there. From the Kid Cudi incident to this incident to that incident, it's like, how do we get here? You know, nobody was really believable. They brought in Cassie Ventura, and then I'm telling you from lawyers, this is worldwide, like almost all of them were in unison saying that about the whole trial and listening to it and watching how it went down. They're saying, okay, the visual effect of you bringing Cassie Ventura in and you're displaying her as a victim, you showing her with a pregnant belly, and you paint her as this angel that was a victim. Then at the end of it, where people would remember when she was just there like about a month ago, now all those images have faded and you're hearing all this audio of her. You're reading these text messages of her talk nasty and dirty, and then you're watching the sex tape of her. So now all of the glamour that you just did to make her normal or just a regular person, all of that is thrown out of the window. And now she looks, it's like the veil has been ripped off and they get to see her near the end of the trial when they got to go in and make their decision. They get to see her at this image here. They should have definitely played that video earlier in the trial so that they would have a gravitas as to what, you know, this was about before Cassie came and took the stand. That's how lawyers told me they would have done it. They would have had the jury see that and then see this woman come in pregnant and that she's in a whole different space. It's hard for them to see that vision of her, you know, pregnant and walking in there. And then you, at the end of it, you show her just being, you know, in these text messages and being in this state. But due to her, you know, getting ready to have the child, this is why they wanted to push it back. Because they didn't want the image of the jury to be influenced by her pregnancy. And this is exactly what the prosecution wanted. It's a shame that we still got to go through this process. I want to say thank you to all you guys who definitely shown support, been following this whole thing that we've been going through over here. And yes, definitely. We're going to go step by step with the stuff that I've been learning from my lawyer, Mr. Mondry, who used to be my lawyer back when I only needed him one time because I don't have criminal cases. I had one criminal case and he was there to take care of that. So now that was done, you know, I didn't have any like need for legal representation anymore, but he did his job. And for that, you know, and that's why he said that was a good thing and a bad thing. You don't get in trouble. So he's like, it's good for you. But he's like, it was kind of bad for my business. I'm in the business of taking care of people that get in trouble, helping them. But you listen to me. He's like, I wish my other clients, for their own sake, would not get back in trouble. But he said, I knew you would not get back in trouble. It's like, I knew you would be okay. Now, Here's a major problem that we have. There is like 16 to 17 different, what you would call deliberate attempts to shred. In other words, just completely shred the narratives that they have that was concerning all of the things that people believed would be the problem or the source of a problem. They said, well, I believe this is going to be the source, or well, I believe that's the source of the problem. And once you start going in that trope, now you created this whole avenue where the justice system does not serve the people. And if they have an agenda against you, they have an agenda against you. Now, when I say vote, when I tell people to go in and vote, they say, well, you can't remove a federal, the judge can be removed. He can't be fired or voted out in a federal situation. You have the power because these federal employees, they have an election. They have a process where people are appointed. You go to the hierarchies. The people that hired this individual or selected this individual, they have judges on the ballot. I'm going to find out everything I am about that judge. And I'm going to do what I got to do. Whoever's responsible for putting you there, whatever my vote could have a say, we're going to make sure it has a say. Because these type of things should not be happening ever in a courtroom. What he did in that courtroom was so egregious. And it's not about Diddy. He took a first-time felon and gave him a level 9 on a first offense on the Mann Act, where he did not even participate in the prostitution, well, what he calls prostitution, because no prostitution took place. The jury decided prostitution did not take place. So if they decided that in the criminal court that there was no prostitution, how is he going to, in the Mann Act, fly somebody out to commit prostitution by these mandates that the judge set? This is why I felt the jury wanted to get clarification on what he meant by flying people out. And they're trying to basically put the jury in the box to say, well, you got no choice but to say he was guilty of the Mann Act. When they really don't believe that. They believe the man was 100% innocent of all charges and claims. People went in their courtroom thinking they're going to see something diabolical. It's on film because they heard about the cases. They just didn't know. Mm-hmm. Well, narratives change. And as you'll see, this is often in this business, right? And entertainment. People have lawyers they control, they can maneuver a case. But this here just shows you no black man is safe. I mean that. No black man is safe anywhere in this country. What's good? So when you see a 9-level departure for a person with a criminal history of 0, definitely in Brooklyn or anywhere, I've never seen a 9-level departure for a person who comes in on a first offense. I've never seen that. And you guys will not know how unregular that is. They've just set a standard that will hurt black men forever. And you guys are just cheering it because you don't like Diddy Combs. It was like, oh, that's just Diddy. No, they'll use this as a precedent to keep doing it over and over again. And I don't understand how black men can put themselves in this situation. Like, I really don't get it. It's like, why do you keep doing the same acts over and over again, waiting for it to get better when they're not trying to get better for you? Now, I don't understand. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't get a lot of people's despair with Sean Diddy Combs. Seriously, I never could understand the public's, you know, I really don't understand it. I don't understand it. Like, it's like somebody having a problem with MC Hammer or something. Like what could you dislike? Well, people was thrown aback when they got a chance to see all of these different charges that was thrown and was coming out. And if this was such an important thing and these people felt victimized, and this was the time to come out and say some of the impact statements, why in the world, when they come out and say something towards Sean Diddy Combs now, this is the time. This is your stage. You took the stand. That was the hard part. Now you get to make your statement known. There's so much weird activity transpiring that it takes people to a whole different space, and when people see well, when you start seeing scenarios go through different circles, you start to say, okay, I get it. This is where I was supposed to be the entire time. And they say, okay, well, it wasn't performed right. This didn't come out the way we thought it was going to come out, or turn out the way we thought it was going to go. Oh, it's going to be a constant, always. When there's disrespect, when there's issues you don't understand, this is going to be the narrative. This is going to be the situation where you run into people that don't make sense. There's always going to be potholes into the story. Well, there's so much wrong. Yeah, there's so much wrong in it. I've never been in a situation that would require no, I've never been in a situation that would require that type of legal service where I need a lawyer, like 8 different lawyers. No. I never would see that turning into a situation that would go in the direction people thought? No. When people can make up the law as they go along, that takes you back to the days of slavery. The day they just kept making up charges for black people. Well, to me, you're a no good Negro who was out past dark. What was he supposed to think? You're on a white man's porch at that time of night. I don't care if you're just walking by. You go all the way around that man's house. You know, it's a whole different mentality than what was going on around the globe. And unfortunately, people's racist upbringing is still there. And it's affecting how society is moving right now. I knew somebody whose sister was R-worded, you know, and to this day, that like it's like a knife in the chest, you know what I'm saying, to her brother, you know what I'm saying? Like he felt like it almost happened to him. And it basically did, because his job was to protect his sister. And he wasn't even around, but it scarred him. Changed him. He was bitter. He was angry. He was, because he couldn't rectify that. So in a court of law, to see this man and hear the lawyers and see the process of the strong versus the weak. They looked at them, said they're black, and the guy who did it just happened to be white. He had lawyers. His father, respected businessman. And they made this whole court doubt the sister, who never wanted to go through a trial. She took the stand, told her truth, and they didn't even care. And that made her brother wanted to jump over the rail, grab that guy by his throat, and never let go. Now, that was 20 some odd years ago. 20 some odd years ago. Now, if we're thinking about that case, how that went down, the process, now you got to ask yourself a bigger question. Why was it? Why was it? And how was it that that was actually allowed to happen? Because it's all about what you know, who you know, and cast, right? But now, sorry, I had a sneeze attack. It went off from my sinuses. It's got my face all puffy. But true to form, it's like this, man. And I'm going to say this. Because they had lawyers, they was able to turn that woman's story around, his sister, and make her seem like she asked for it. Made her seem promiscuous. This put her in a shell of a state. To this day, she still isn't married. Not that I know of. I don't think she's married. Last time I heard, she wasn't married. She's still like in the house, stay with her parents, and her brother, he's been in and out of jail. And angry a lot, and he's extracted a lot of anger out on people, and that's been a sticking point with him. Like that's been something that stuck with him for the rest of his life. So when you see something like that transpire, that's going to have a waning effect on the entire family. It's just so difficult. When you see what? Like, what do you mean? Like, see? Oh no, I don't. I don't even look at it that way, bro. What's difficult is difficult. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's what I'm saying. The legal system, the people there, the jury, the judge, they were all against them. And there's never been justice for black men in these situations. It's always been something holding us back. It's always been this. You didn't do that right. You didn't do this right. You should have did this when you did that. It's always a negative when it comes to us. We never get the benefit of the doubt. We always get the short end of the stick. So for us, these are the narratives that, plague us. So Oh, I would love for it to get to a point where somebody can make sense of it. What we've seen in the legal system has not made sense. I would love for them to make sense of it. That's one of my biggest pet peeves in the situation. I would just love for them to make sense of it. Mm. Yeah, well, I've never seen a situation like that. You might have. I have not.
To abusers and victims alike that exploitation and violence against women is met with real accountability.
It was clear from the judge's remarks that the sentence was driven by the conduct the jury rejected.
Combs was acquitted of sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy, but federal prosecutors argued he deserved 11 years in prison because he inflicted life-altering violence on women. And they said that physical abuse is on video, pointing to this 2016 hotel surveillance footage depicting Combs attacking Cassie Ventura. How could the judge be blind to that and not punish him for the sum total of his conduct?
Well, the judge was allowed to take that into consideration, but what was clear from the judge's remarks was that he was going way beyond that.
Combs said, "I have been humbled and broken to my core," before apologizing to his children and tearfully telling his mother, "You raised me better." Is Sean Combs a changed man? You've been with him so long through this entire year-long prosecution.
I can say from the bottom of my heart, more than I think anybody else truly on this team can say, that he is a changed man.
How do you?
The defense played an 11-minute documentary-style video showing Combs as a doting father and a philanthropist. The judge acknowledged his impressive career and commendable charity work, but imposed the 4-year sentence, saying a history of good works can't wash away the record in this case, which showed that you abused the power and control that you had over the lives of women you professed to love dearly.
Are you concerned? Sean Diddy Combs.
Now, as you can see that there, and what they're saying and how they are going about doing this, you can see clearly the direction and what was going on. The judge made his decision based on factors that he came up with. Are you walking around? He was to take that under consideration, but he made the whole case about that, clearly used coercion. And to this day, I'm just baffled. Extremely baffled by the decision. But, that's neither here nor there. We'll see how this come and turn out. We'll see what the Second Circuit Court will do, because they should get this dismissed. He definitely got grounds and left grounds for this and went way beyond what somebody who is a 9-level deterrence. It's like, what? I mean, 9-level departure, I'm sorry. With acquitted conduct. Acquitted. What is good is an acquittal if the judge is just going to say, all right, F the jury. I'm just going to go off and do my own thing. I think it's about time I get up and do my thing. No, that ain't how it works. Nobody chose to have a bench trial. You was just there to do the sentencing. And you turned that into a whole new case. You want to try the trial case. If I'm only put. All right. I got to roll. I got to go take care of the Patreon, do a bunch of stuff, get ready for the games. I'm out. Deuces.